Kia ora tātou, welcome back to the Wargaming Den. Tonight's game of Kings of War sees my Orcs taking on Gordon's new Nightstalkers army. The mission we're going to be playing is Cauldron, and as usual we're playing at 2000 points. Let's have a look at my army today. I've tweaked things a wee bit. I've reduced the Orcs down to a troop. I've carried on with the two Great Axe regiments. The change I've made is to get 3 Gore Rider regiments. Still got a War Drum. Crudger has got a Mace of Crushing and Gakamax Bloody Banner. I had a cunning plan that probably wasn't. I'll explain during the game. Crusher on a Gore with a Slashing Blade. Crudger on a Wing Slasher. And I gave him the banner of Abbottshire mainly because bigger base. I was hoping to have a wider area protected by the spell ward. And as with the last game, I had some allies, a Boomer Horde and a Warlock. So I've got 13 units and 22 units strength. And here we have Gordon's Nightstalkers army. He's dropped a lot of his magic items. He was very busy over the weekend and he painted up himself a troop of phantoms to add a bit of chaff to his army. Otherwise it's almost the same. 2 Butcher Hordes, the Mine Screechers, Fiend Horde, Soul Flayers, Dread Fiend, the Banshee with that nasty Resonant Chorus and Zephyr Crown combination, and Essentia, the Wailing Shadow. So Gordon's army this week has 12 units and 18 unit strength. And here we have a few shots of the new Nightstalker army that Gordon's been working on. Love the way his basing's coming together, trying a very different style to the stuff he's done previously. The miniatures look really good and he's becoming very, very proficient at using contrast paints. I've not given contrast a go myself, but once you get the hang of them, the results are brilliant. So really enjoying facing this army and look forward to seeing it on the table a bit more often too. And here we have deployment. So as I said, the mission tonight is Cauldron. So approximately these are where the 6 quadrants are for the game. So I get 2 points if I control this one. Gordon gets 2 points for controlling this one. Otherwise each of the outside ones are worth 1 point each. We kind of deployed with the bulk of our forces around this area. You can't see the Mine Screechers and the Phantoms and the Banshee and the Sentra tucked in under here. Gordon had his Butchers covering the centre and he kept his Soul Flayers well back. They are flying, so later in the game his plan's probably going to be to grab a couple of these quarters. I quickly realised the folly of changing around my magic items and things when it came to deployment. I decided to screen with one of my Gore Rider regiments here. I've got my 2 Great Axe with the Morax troop in behind them. I've got the War Drum down here. I put the Crusher here out of range of the spell ward as it so happened. Wasn't such a smart move. Just tucked in down here behind the Wing Slasher is my other Crudger. The problem I had is I needed my Crudger to be supporting my infantry because he had Gakamax Banner, which gives them a wild charge +1. I also needed Whip to be with my infantry because they power up his spellcasting abilities. But because I'd put the banner of Abbottshire on my Winged Slasher, because it had a bigger base and I was hoping to cover a wider area, I actually also needed him over here because the spell ward was going to be needed here. Really what I needed to do was the way I'd done it last week, had the banner of Abbottshire on the Crudger so he could protect this area and just use the Winged Slasher with my mobile hammers over here and use that as a battle group, and then Whip would have been a lot more effective. So even before the game I had well and truly cocked up what I was trying to do, and it became very apparent as we went. So what I was hoping to do was to just delay with my Gore Riders, put a bit of pressure on and try and capture this centre, push through here with the Boomers and with the Warlock, hoping to dominate this area as well, and just push forward here with my infantry. Again, poor placement meant that I had to go through the terrain, which is going to slow me down and impede me even further. So not the brightest deployment I've ever made, and Gordon definitely made me pay for that in various parts of the game, but we'll get on to that in a minute.
Okay, very cool looking deployment for control. Very nice Nightstalker army against the new Orcs.
And here we go, a view from Gordon's side of the table. So push forward onto the hill with his fiends, his mind screeches in here. He's pushed up with the butchers as well, holding back with his soul players currently, and the banshee is in here, and Essentra has darted forward and is using the tower to protect herself against the bulk of my shooting and stuff.
Turn one from the Nightstalkers. They've moved up in the middle. They're holding back with their soul flayers. Shooting. Most of it went into my pressure, and also some wind blasts from the banshee. Managed to waver the pressure, and also did 4 wounds on my regiment of Great Axe. So on to the Orcs turn 1.
Not a lot of action in my turn 1. My crusher was wavered, pushed forward here with my infantry and with my Gore Riders. The wing slasher moved across this way a bit, and the war drum tucked in there. Push forward off the hill with my Gore Riders just wanting to try and put some pressure on the flank there, and my wizards here and the warlock. I think I may have done 1 wound against the butchers over there, but had no other targets, and the boomers were well out of range. So not a great deal of action from my side that turn 1. I was feeling okay at the end of my turn 1. Gordon was about to give me a very quick lesson on how to play the game. So Essentra flew round over here. Butchers charged in at my Morax. The Phantoms charged in at my Great Axe here to chaff them up. The Fiends charged my Gore Riders, and the Dread Fiend, because it was nimble, moved down here, pivoted, and hit my Winged Slasher. Then Gordon hit me with the spells. The War Drum was wind blasted back here, so it was no longer rallying these troops. I think the Crusher might have died to a lightning bolt. More lightning bolts went into the Great Axe here, and then the Banshee cast the must have been wind blast, but did damage as well, which wounded badly damaged my Great Axe, and potentially think Essentra may have even done a tractor beam then and enthralled them and then attacked them and killed them. So a really good turn by Gordon. I was left a wee bit awestruck by how effective that combination of spells, especially when it came to my war drum, and then the hard-hitting infantry, really was a nice 1-2 combination.
Okay, brutal turn. The bright spot for me was Gordon just got a double 1 against my Morak troop, but he destroyed my Great Axe, he destroyed my Gore Riders, and he also got my Crusher. So I'm in a bit of trouble going into my turn 2.
And there you have the results. Lost the Crusher, lost the Great Axe, should have lost the Morax. They double won it, so that left them capable of fighting back. These guys were chaffed up against the Phantoms. The Phantoms are a 100-point throwaway unit, so really wasn't that impressed having to fight them next turn. And then also lost the Gore Riders. So, and the Dread Fiend did the 1 wound necessary to ground my Wing Slasher so I can go flying off over here after the Mind Screechers. So really good turn from Gordon. And how did I respond? I pushed forward my Gore Riders, trying to put pressure on the center. Also pushed the Warlock and the Wizard forward, firing lightning bolts pretty ineffectively, and the Boomers also continued advancing but were out of range. When it came to combat, the Morax did a few wounds here. The Great Axe killed the Phantoms. I got really lucky in my various nerve checks. I rolled two double sixes and 2 11s, and I managed to waver the Dread Fiend and also the Fiends over here. So I got pretty lucky there. And I also attacked a Centra down here with my Crudger, but don't think I did much in the way of wounds there. So, not quite as good a turn 2 for me as it had been for Gordon. Okay, and here we go with Gordon's turn 3. It was brutal. I think he managed to kill the Morax with a lightning bolt. He killed the war drum. He also managed to kill the Great Axe over here, which means that I was just left with the Wing Slasher on this side. He had just absolutely stormed through my right hand flank.
Turn 3, I've just been smashed by a combination of Dread and Lightning Bolts and some good combat. So I am in trouble. I've just got the Crudger left on this side now. Hopefully I can do something in the centre.
Wow, not much I've got left on this side. The Crudger's attacking the Butchers here, and the Winged Slasher, he's still in the terrain. It's a new combat because the Fiends were wavered, so I'm hindered again. So I may have been better off to have flown off after something else, but I wanted to try and kill the Fiends. Things are not looking good at all at this stage.
Bottom of turn 4, and I think it is all over except the shouting. I got lucky here, and I got a double 1, so he's not completely dead, so I might get a second unit. Boomers are wavered over here, and I can have a crack at that guy.
And bottom of turn 4. So I've killed the Fiends, got a second unit. The Boomers are on about 10 wounds and wavered, couldn't do anything. Did a few wounds against the Soul Reavers over here. But turn 5 I was going to lose the Boomers, and I was going to lose the Winged Slasher, and I have also lost the Crudger at some point. So I'm well and truly done like a dinner. So at this point, I conceded the game to Gordon. He had well and truly outplayed me. And there you have it, a comprehensive victory to Gordon. He just absolutely smashed me, and it was this turn 2 that the damage was done. The Dread Fiends charging in here, the Fiends destroying the Gores, the combination of spells and other attacks as well. It's got a really nice balance to the army between the spellcasters and the heavy hitting units. Gordon really is good at analysing and creating very effective lists, and there's nothing wrong with that. I made a few tactical errors, mucking up my characters and the magic items before the game began didn't help my cause, but it was just little things like this unit here push forward just enough so that the butchers were able to do their 1-inch withdraw turn and charge them instead. So it was lots of little things like that that didn't help my cause any, but I do need to find a counter to those Mind Screechers. The combination of Mind Screechers, Essentia, and the Banshee do cause a lot of problems for me. Wind blasting my war drum well away from the combats. The other thing that didn't come out, I don't think, in the videos, but was quite critical, was the number of characters with Dread. I think Essentia's got Dread. The Dread Fiend, funnily enough, has got Dread. I'm not sure if any of the others did, but there's 2 or 3 times where Gordon was just one under what he needed to break my units until he remembered about the Dread, and that pushed me over. So those little one made a big difference on the nerve checks, but not taking away from Gordon at all. He played very well and well and truly deserved to win this one. It was comprehensive. So next week I may go back to giving him a game against the Elves rather than the Orcs. I'm enjoying this list. I'm still trying to find the combination that is effective for me against the Nightstalkers especially, but I'm enjoying the challenge, and I'm actually enjoying using the army. They do play very different to the Elves. It's just really a matter of pushing forward and shrugging off the losses and carrying on. Didn't do that very well today, unfortunately, but really keen to have another game with the Orc army soon. But yeah, the next game is probably going to be the Elves take on the Nightstalkers, I would think. But anyway, thank you for watching. Bit of a lesson on how not to use the Orc army for any aspiring Orc players out there. They are a fun army despite my lack of ability to use them. But anyway, have a great week. Ka kite anō.